You want to look good in your underwear and be comfortable, right? But that perfect balance is hard to find. Don't sacrifice style or comfort. Check out MeUndies. August is National Underwear Month, and to celebrate, MeUndies is making it easier than ever to try the world's most comfortable underwear by giving you a risk-free guarantee. All National Underwear Month long. If you don't love your MeUndies, they're free. MeUndies are made from Lensing Micromodal, a sustainably sourced, naturally soft fabric that's proven to be 3 times softer than cotton. Micromodal is an all-natural, breathable, eco-friendly fabric extruded from Austrian beech trees that actually inhibits odor. No stinky undies, just soft, cool, and cozy MeUndies. MeUndies are the ultimate feel-good undies for when you want to feel naked, but not actually be naked. All National Underwear Month long, you can feel them for yourself, risk-free. It's simple. If you don't love your MeUndies, they're free. Now until August 31st, get 20% off your first pair, plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/blogtalk. That's MeUndies.com/blogtalk. MeUndies.com/blogtalk.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to On Trial, starring Mark Wahlberg, also starring Sean Comer. Hope you're ready, Hollywood, because you're on trial.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Fudge presiding. This is On Trial, and I am your host, the defense attorney for tonight's proceedings, your mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And tonight, because it's Charlize Theron week, we picked a Charlize Theron movie, sort of, called The Italian Job. I couldn't have been more random about tonight's selection, folks. Our original schedule went through some changes. It went through some adaptations. It went through some menstruations. And we decided, instead of doing this, that, or the other thing, we're going to do The Italian Job tonight. And so fun will be had, and The Italian Job will be talked about. And speaking of Italian jobs, ladies and gentlemen, the prosecution for tonight's proceedings. The one and only, the inimitable Sean Comer. How do you do, sir?
Roy Fultrig for the prosecution, Your Honor.
There we go.
You really missed that last week, didn't you? Yeah, and I love that. Oh, hey, speaking of Italian, here's the Irish, Scotch, Swedish, American.
Because I'm
on the other end of the tin can. Oh.
I'll get over you, you know I will. Anyway, all right, folks. We're not going to do. Dude, I was in the hospital 2 days ago. I'm just happy to be breathing pure air. So yes, I'm in a decent mood. Hey, still with me?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Okay. No, I moved and I heard something crack and I was like, oh shit, I think I broke something. All right, good. Moving on. All right, as I said, tonight we're going to talk about The Italian Job. I'm going to go ahead and throw it to Sean for a couple of minutes worth of notes. I will do a short plot synopsis, and then I will throw it back to Sean for his opening prosecution. I will have my chance to retort for the defense. Sean will have the last words, and that'll be that for tonight. All right? Hit it, Sean.
You know what? Instead of going over the relatively non-existent trivia for this movie, I thought instead that I would talk for just a few minutes about the concept of remakes. They're polarizing, misunderstood, and in my opinion, there's a lot of blanket hatred that goes around for them in general. And you see this all the time online. You see this argument of Hollywood's entirely out of new ideas. Everything has to be a remake or a reboot. Come up with something new. Well, and of course, what everybody is too polite to point out to half of these jackwagons is the notion that most of the classic stuff you love, if it isn't inspired by something else, it is an outright remake. Brian De Palma's Scarface, remake. Gone with the Wind, based on a novel. Tons of beloved movies from the golden age of Hollywood, based on either plays or classic musicals. You've got about 1 million biopics. It's harder than anybody realizes, and this is before we even get into the theory that the likes of Joseph Campbell has put forth, the idea of a hero with 1,000 faces, that humanity just keeps telling the same stories over and over and over and over, to such a point that, as one of my favorite critics once pointed out, if you watch Willow long enough and closely enough, it really starts to look like Star Wars with midgets. So, knowing that, I'll say this. My general rule for what makes a truly watchable, worthy remake is one very simple notion. Have something novel and or original to say that the original didn't get around to. And that can go a number of ways. It can mean an entertaining, modernized update of a story. It might mean including some things from the source material that perhaps the first outing didn't, that you felt might have made for a better story. One of my favorite examples of a remake that I think stands up really well is the remake of Carrie, because it compared incredibly well to Stephen King's source material, one of the few movies where anybody can say that. It was very true to the spirit of it. The modernization was done tastefully, such that it had a relevant take, kind of a, how can I put this, a fresh and relevant modernized take on the same things that King was trying to say in his original work. It was bereft of a lot of the camp, so that made it scarier and more brutal in a lot of places. And Chloe Grace Moretz was an outstanding successor to Sissy Spacek. So right there, you have the makings of something that's going to be new to a new generation that's seeing it for the first time, but it's also going to be entertaining. It's got substance, and it was a road worth embarking down. So, and as I'll get to in a moment, I could say the same thing about a movie that came out 2 years before The Italian Job, and that actually ultimately was sort of this movie's downfall. Ocean's 11. Ocean's 11 was a new, extremely stylized take on what was mostly regarded as a somewhat mediocre Rat Pack movie. I mean, it didn't exactly set the world on fire when it debuted. It was hardly seen as an all-time classic, but it managed to pair a director with the right slick artistic chops to helm the whole thing, a cast with lightning in a bottle, immaculate chemistry, and an atmosphere that felt deserving of the legacy of at least the previous stars that it was living up to. Unfortunately, as I'll discuss when my time comes to prosecute, The Italian Job runs afoul of a rule that we've already seen violated with two other movies that we've talked about at some length previously. Do not try to make a copycat that stands up to the movie with more star power. So, with that being said, Mark, I'll let you take over with a plot synopsis.
Okay, baby dolls, here we go. And I'm not going to get into too much of the minutia of the movie. We have an opening with Donald Sutherland and our main cast of characters who perform The Italian Job. They do a heist in Venice where they're going to steal $35 million worth of gold bullion from a safe in Venice held by Italian gangsters who had stolen it weeks earlier. They succeed. However, despite being successful, while they are gathered together in the Alps near the Austrian border, the character who is played by Ed Norton, Steve Frazzelli, and boy does he look like a Frazzelli, he betrays the entire group, which consists of Mark Wahlberg as Charlie Croker, Jason Statham as Handsome Rob, Seth Green as Lyle, a.k.a. Napster, and Most Def as Leftia. He shoots Donald Sutherland, and he makes off with the gold. A year later, Mark Wahlberg has decided this shall not stand. He is going to steal the gold back from Steve. He needs a little help from his friends in order to do so he gets the gang back together. The piece that's missing is Donald Sutherland's daughter, Charlize Theron, who is a safe and vault technician, and she uses her abilities for the police. She's legit. But her father was shot, and he must be avenged. So they devise a plan. They put it in motion. They're going to steal the gold back. A lot of the movie is then getting the lay of the land, figuring out Steve's routine, figuring out how they're going to get into the vault. They come to realize that he's going to have the gold moved, which Mark Wahlberg thinks this works to their advantage. There's a whole other sequence where they modify a bunch of Mini Coopers so that they can use them to haul the gold. This ends up becoming a heist on the move. The gold is moving in one of three armored trucks. Two are being used as subterfuge. And Steve is following in a helicopter. And they are set to blow a hole in the street that will have the truck that's got the gold in it fall through into a tunnel. They will then, Charlize Theron will then do her thing. She will crack the safe, which ends up being a different safe to the one she's been practicing on, which provides an extra bit of tension. She eventually does. They unload the gold into the Mini Coopers. And then there's another subsequent chase of Steve following them with some henchmen that he's hired as they race through these tunnels in Los Angeles. It all comes to a head at Union Station, I believe, where Steve attempts to get his gold back, but in doing so, he is caught by, and this is a plot element that I missed earlier, he had been slowly but surely selling off gold bars to the cousin of a Ukrainian gangster who was using his store as an operational front for the Ukrainian mob. When the guy started talking, revealing too many details about where the original gold came from, Steve freaked and shot him. Well, you done pissed off the Ukrainian mob now. So, at the very end of the movie, in a ta-da nick of time moment, the Ukrainian mob shows up, kind of like, I can't remember what movie this is, but, it's like when the demons start to pull the bad guy down. It's like, wait, let's make a deal. Nope, hands are pulling you into the gates of hell. The Ukrainians show up, they take Steve away to his doom, and they are able to get away with the gold. And then there's an after thing where everyone kind of, what's his face? Seth Green buys a stereo that blows women's clothing off. Jason Statham buys an Aston Martin. Charlize Theron and Mark Wahlberg end up together in Venice. And Mos Def has a house in the south of Spain with a lot of books and shoes. So that's the movie. Your witness, sir. Your witness, sir.
Oh, my apologies, your high muckety-muckness grand poobah.
That's right.
You know, it isn't so much that I can really call The Italian Job a patently bad movie. In fact, it deserves some credit where it's due. It's actually a lot of fun. It's just that, well, it's sometimes hard to invest yourself too much in it when you realize that it's not only a movie you've seen before, it's several movies you've seen before and done better, and then it becomes hard to wonder, why am I not watching these other movies instead? Unfortunately, it runs afoul of the precedent set by Big Trouble in Little China v. The Golden Child. If you'll recall, for those of you who weren't present for that particular case, the makers of Big Trouble in Little China lost out huge because John Carpenter was expected to make a low-budget indie movie that was going to compete favorably against an action comedy with supernatural Asian themes that starred one of the most high-powered, bankable stars of the 80s, Eddie fucking Murphy. Well, in this case, granted, The Italian Job has got a fantastic cast. Even Mark Wahlberg is actually interesting in a rare blind squirrel finds a nut instance. Charlize Theron is a capable enough female lead. Seth Green, Jason Statham, and Mos Def, all of them immensely charming and entertaining. And once more, Edward Norton is a fine, perfect, just absolutely perfect Weasley villain, much as he was in The Score. One of such movies this movie seems to often ape, in which case it's Norton trying to take his own previous much better performance. F. Gary Gray was an excellent technical choice for a director, an artist of his craft, who put together some superb action sequences, for which he and the rest of the team that produced it, it's well documented, spent a lot of time studying movies like The Bourne Identity, Ronin, and The French Connection. And boy, is it obvious that they didn't try to do much of anything original with it. You're even trying to sort of capitalize on a certain fondness for the original among one portion of your audience by even calling it The Italian Job, even though this movie might as well have little to nothing in common with the original. No, the movie perplexingly tries to do something different from the classic of the same name, but it tries to do it by aping a whole bunch of better movies that came first and already did everything they're trying to do. So it's essentially trying to be original by copying, I guess. And, had this beaten Ocean's 11 to the box office a year or two earlier, maybe I would be thinking of it differently. But the fact is, it's another slick, light action comedy that puts together an all-star cast to try to breathe some new life into another bygone beloved movie. Well, by this point, you've kind of already seen it, so it's hard to hold it in too high a regard, except for the fact that yeah, it's decently well written and it's got some nice action scenes, but I mean, so many times while watching this, I was forced to sit here and go, why am I not just watching Ronin? It's hard to give it too much credit because it's essentially like saying that this movie wins at plagiarism. Is that a title that you really want? Yeah, great cast, excellent pedigree, nice effort. You managed to get Donald Sutherland on board. Good on you. But otherwise, I mean, again, and the score is even another one. I'm watching Edward Norton the entire time, thinking to myself, that international heist movie that he was in with Robert De Niro and Marlon Brando, that at least felt fairly fresh. It felt unpredictable. This one is, it's a fun little popcorn movie, but otherwise it's a by the numbers, sort of, I guess you could say, cover band, for lack of a better description. Putting together kind of a mostly soulless tribute to another movie that came decades earlier. Sorry if that rambled a little bit, but it's just hard to really necessarily see anything all that necessarily to see a real passionate negative about it or anything all that positive. It just is what it is. A good excuse to have a marathon with better car chase and heist movies as soon as you get home. Your witness.
Okay. Let us give you a scenario. It's an easy scenario. It's an easy enough scenario to understand. I'm going to give you a steak dinner, best cut of meat, a filet mignon. I'm going to give you the best vegetables. This is a Gordon Ramsay. Everything is the best and the freshest and the nicest and the cleanest and that. Okay? So the vegetables, as we're saying in our home, the vegetables are the best you can find on earth. And we're going to serve it with a beautiful sauce. Okay? And we're going to serve it with the best wine, a $1,000 bottle of wine. And that's the only meal you can eat for the rest of your life. After a fair amount of time, even with the best, even every day, given the best filet mignon, the best vegetables, the best sauce, and the best wine, you would die for a cheeseburger. Okay? You would die for just about anything that was different than what you'd been served every single day. So I ask you, why are you watching The Italian Job and you're not watching Ocean's 11 or Ronin or any of the movies that Sean picked? Because life is variety, ladies and gentlemen. The Italian Job is a movie. That's it. It's a movie. It's nothing special. It's nothing groundbreaking. Not every movie has to be. Not every movie's going to be. But variety is the spice of life. Here we celebrate life. All right, now I'm doing Michael Savage. Look, The Italian Job is well acted. The Italian Job is well shot. It looks gorgeous. The Venice scene is phenomenal. The LA scenes are better than some of the stuff shot in any of the Fast and Furious movies or Gone in 60 Seconds. It has a real nice look to it. The heists themselves are fun. I get a kick out of watching them blow the floors up and watching the safes fall in both scenes where that happens, or the armored truck at the end of the movie and the beginning of the safe in Venice. That's all you need. You need a competent cast. Nobody acts badly in this movie. Nobody is unbelievable, not even Mos Def. Okay? Jason Statham is perfectly charming. Even the prosecution admitted to that. Mos Def is charming. Seth Green is decidedly not the most annoying person in the cast, which is a monumental achievement and should be the one and only defense of this movie. Seth Green didn't completely suck. Seth Green, you're a douche. Thank you. Thanks, Seth MacFarlane. Anyway, Mark Wahlberg gets a lot of crap. He gets a lot of crap from this network. He gets a lot of crap from Robert Winfrey, who thinks he's just terrible. But I think if you're going to be fair to Flair, you would have to say that Mark Wahlberg is a competent actor. The guy's got a pretty good resume on him, and not everything is the one Family Guy joke of, I don't know where I am. I don't know what's going on. I got to go work out. I don't know where I am. I don't know what's going on. I got to work out. The man can act. Let's be fair. And the whole thing that ties the movie together, the heart of the movie, the thing that makes you want to cheer these people, is Charlize Theron. Now, I just picked this movie at random because we were reviewing Atomic Blonde this week, and I was like, everything has got to be synergized. But when you think about how the movie is played out, these are a bunch of no-good McThieves. And the fact that they got turned on by one of their own, and he shoots Donald Sutherland, who gives a shit? They're no-good McThieves, and they got their shit took. It's Charlize Theron that makes you want to cheer them. It's Charlize Theron who is the heart of this movie. It's her performance, and there's a lot of time spent with her. I'll tell you, one of the great cinematic performances in this movie is her fixing Steve's cable. That whole sequence is full of tension. He's trying to ask her out. She's there to do a job and and measure the place and all of that. And she's nervous. This isn't what she does. She's not a criminal. And there's the wonder: does Steve know that she's pulling a con job on him? See, seems that it's not just a heist movie in that respect. There's a sequence that works on multiple levels. Charlize Theron's performance and Ed Norton's performance is phenomenal in just that one sequence alone. And sure, the rest of it is a bunch of fast cars and loose women. All right, maybe not so much the loose women, but definitely fast cars. But isn't that what we want? We want to go to the movies. We want to be thrilled. We want to see explosions. We want to see fast cars. We want to see action. And that's what we got. I don't want to see the same movie over and over and over again. I mean, I do. I just watched The Wrath of Khan the other day, but I've had a long break since the last time I've watched it. There's been some movies in between. As much as The Wrath of Khan is one of my favorite movies of all time, if I had to watch it every day for the rest of my life, I'd shoot myself. I can only watch that so many times in a row before I need a break. I love The Dark Knight. I was feeling absolutely awful the other day. And I got up in the morning, and the first thing I wanted to do was watch The Dark Knight because it would help make me feel better and pass the time. I haven't watched that movie in months. The Lord of the Rings trilogy, ladies and gentlemen, is a movie that I can't watch without bursting into tears. At the end of every single one of them, and even with the Lord of the Rings trilogy, one of the greatest trilogies ever committed to film, I need a break after watching it of at least a month or two. So why are we watching The Italian Job and not Ronin or Ocean's 11? Because we love movies. And The Italian Job is a good movie. The last word, sir.
Objection. You didn't pick a remotely polarizing movie.
Overruled.
Fuck you.
Boy, did you did your dad well hardest. I'll give you that.
We talked about this before we went on the air. It's just I actually think that I like seeing the movie now more than I did when I saw it in theaters, because I have this thing that if I try to watch a movie or watch a new TV show, play a new game, listen to new music, whatever, when I'm in the wrong negative frame of mind, I just can't get into it. In fact, there's a lot of things that I've had to kind of give a fair second chance over the years for just exactly that reason. And when I first saw this on the big screen, I thought it was okay, but I wasn't that into it. But I wasn't in the best frame of mind either. I was not in a good place in life. And now that I've watched it years later, I have to admit, it actually is better now than it was then. If we are going to talk about trivia in terms of how well this thing did, okay, this thing was largely received positively by critics. Roger Ebert, of all people, loved it. And he was known as being one of the toughest critics around. It did superbly at the box office. Budget of $60 million, did $176.1 million. Its stunt work and cinematography was up for one technical award after another by the end of the year. The Los Angeles scene is regarded as one of the finest car chases in cinema, one of the finest cinematic car chases. I've only had a few sips of this beer too. Of the 21st century. And as much as I tried to play it up, yeah, it's compared to all these other movies, not only because it apes them, but because on a technical level, it actually stands up pretty well. It really is a lot of fun. And in fact, if you were to for some reason have some kind of themed marathon where you watched all the above movies I rattled off, this would fit right in. It's just that the one thing where I will genuinely say it's a negative is it was really awkward coming 2 years on the heels of Ocean's 11, because the thing about Oceans was not just that it had a massive star-studded cast. It was that they had the kind of uncommon, natural chemistry where you put a bunch of people in a room and all of a sudden it's like a good episode of Whose Line Is It Anyway? Just everything is that fast and that furious and that smooth and that witty. Someone once said that it's basically like the entire movie you half expect Matt Damon or Brad Pitt or George Clooney, Andy Garcia, Julia Roberts to just look at the camera and go, just so you know, we really are having a fucking good time making this movie. It really is almost like just an excuse for George Clooney and his pals to go to Vegas for a few months. The only thing in this one is, I won't say that the rapport between the leads is quite that natural, but it still comes off really, really well. Seth Green does his quirky comic relief thing, which is what he does. Mos Def proves that he's one of the rare rappers that can that has the intelligence to transition well into acting and actually make something of it rather than having it just be another phoned-in revenue stream. Mark Wahlberg, it really does stand up as one of his better movies, and he's extremely, immensely hit or miss with me. I love Edward Norton. As I've said before, the score is one of my all-time favorite movies. And he is once more just absolutely dialed in. Now, in my opinion, I think a better Charlize Theron movie for us to talked about would have been Aeon Flux.
Ooh, I think I would have had to watch Aeon Flux.
Yes, but I could have had some positive things to say about that, and also the negative ones are super obvious. So there would have been no wrong way for me to have gone on that one. Because while I admit it's yet another failed adaptation from another medium, and one that really could have and seemingly should have been so much better than it was, I don't think I hated it quite as much as most people do.
You know what my favorite part about the show is?
What's that?
That depending on the movie selection that we try, yes, there's a lot of fun to be had, and more often than not, we tend to choose the polarizing, the ones where there's obvious problems with the movie. So whether you're prosecuting or defending it, there's an argument to be made. But the real fun in this for me is when you're given a movie that has no redeeming qualities whatsoever, or a movie that is perfectly okay with no real issues, and you really have to stretch. You really have to stretch and come up with an argument. You have to do some mental gymnastics. Now, I go back to our Catwoman show. A movie with no redeeming qualities whatsoever, and I was doing all kinds of gymnastics, and we had fun with it. I think that's again the fun of this show is occasionally we're gonna tackle a movie where one of us really has to do some backflips to come up with something. So.
Yeah, which I had to for both Well, no, actually, if I recall correctly, I believe I was prosecuting Catwoman, so I had it easy. On the other hand, last week when you asked me to defend Planet of the Apes,
yeah,
I had to go for the most deep left field argument that I possibly could have, and that was sometimes you have to do something wrong to fully understand how to do it right.
Yes, sometimes you have to burn the village in order to save it.
See, and that's the thing, and that's the other reason why I wanted to preface that with that commentary on remakes, is I hear that so often, typically before a remake ever even comes out. Oh, God, it's going to be terrible. Oh, just another remake. It's worthless. Why are you even bothering? The first one was so good. Why would you want to remake that as opposed to just doing something of your own? Well, because here's the thing. Now, here's a remake that actually, well, correction, it's a story that has technically been made 3 times by Hollywood. But the most recent one is quite easily the most infamous, and that is I Am Legend. Okay? Here, you have something that's been thrice adapted, and previously starring the likes of, I believe, Charlton Heston and Vincent Price, respectively. But the latest one was meant to be a fairly big, epic, A-list blockbuster starring Will Smith. And among those who are fans of the source material, what really hacked people off about that was the fact that they deliberately, willfully change the entire scope of the story from the original by changing the ending, because the original, they filmed the ending from the book, which is, to spoil it slightly, it reveals essentially that Will Smith's character has really been the villain all along, whereas he thinks he's going to become a legend of humanity by curing this plague and raising his species from the ashes. No, in fact, he is a monster of legend among the vampire species that he's targeting. He's feared. He is reviled for his tactics, for how he wants to go about doing what he wants to do, for wanting to wipe out an entire species that has simply evolved into being, that didn't ask to evolve as it did. That's just following its course of nature. Again, that was, of course, changed because of the notion that we can't have Will Smith be the villain. Perish the thought. Well, lo and behold, actually, what in places is overall not a bad movie, that's where it fails most, is in the ending. So, if you wanted to remake that, that would be something different that you could do, is to play to that angle and do it in the right way, that it says something that's so different and so fresh in terms of staying true to what the original author, hang on, I don't think it was Harlan Ellison. Richard Matheson. I'm sorry, I don't know why I thought it was Harlan Ellison. To Richard Matheson's original message, such that people will say, oh, okay, the versions with Charlton Heston and Vincent Price, those were good, but this was a great one. This was the quintessential version of that story. Nothing against the Howard Hawks version of Scarface. We watched that in an intro to film class that I took at the University of Missouri. But in terms of entertainment and really adapting that story well to a different setting and carrying over the most crucial central themes of it, the Brian De Palma remake is more memorable. It's a worthy remake because it says something new through the same story. It said something about the times in which we lived. And again, that's what a remake has to do. It has to tell something different. And I do think the criticism is somewhat valid that there isn't that much that will feel 100% fresh about The Italian Job, in terms of, you can watch it and you can see how it's a love letter to all these other great chase and heist movies that came before them. But at the same time, you wish that it were a little more original, and that sometimes it didn't make you go, well, that's great, but I've already seen it. There are times where I kind of felt that a few times watching it, but even then, I also had to cave and go, you know what, though? I really am having a whole fucking lot of fun watching this movie. It really is good. No, it's not the original starring Michael Caine, which, by the way, is outstanding. Go watch it. I want to say it's streaming on, I think, Amazon Prime. I think that's the only place you can stream it now. I know it's not on Netflix anymore. But that's what makes it worthy. Is it doesn't try to do it in kind of the same cool downbeat way as the first one. it's played for a different kind of laughs, but it manages to stand pretty well on its own, well enough that at one point there was actually a sequel that was plotted called The Brazilian Job. However, it entered development hell sometime around, I believe, 2006 or so, and kind of never really emerged. In fact, according to my notes, I at one point was supposed to come out in late 2005, but they never quite got the script nailed down. They pushed it back to 2006. Then it was going to be late summer 2007, and as a result, it just never happened. And now I would imagine it probably never will, because it's probably one of those that's just sort of lost to the mists of time. But it was a fun discussion, and I thank you for giving me a good excuse to go back and watch this again. And I hate that I had to basically forfeit my argument. This is bullshit. I liked it.
All right. Never a better ending to an argument. This is bullshit. I liked it. So
I like liking things.
In 3 weeks, August 24th, we will be looking at the Ben Affleck Daredevil, which I just rewatched actually. It just happened to be on cable. God, it's not as bad as I feel like everyone makes it out to be, and I don't want to get into a long, drawn-out discussion about it because we have a whole podcast dedicated to it. My initial sort of guttural reaction to was something along the lines of, hey, this isn't as bad as oh my God, it's Jennifer Garner.
Okay, see, now we're talking. Daredevil is the kind of movie this show was made for, because
yes,
I can see the arguments both ways, especially knowing what is known about the production of this movie and how it's another glimmering turd of an example of 20th Century Fox's inability to get out of their own way when they have a good thing going.
So we will be putting Daredevil on trial. Sean got to prosecute tonight, so he gets to defend. I have that right?
I get to be Matt fucking Murdock.
Yes, I will be prosecuting Daredevil, and you're going to hear a lot of, God, Jennifer Garner sucks in this thing. And Sean's going to tell you why Ben Affleck's not the worst Daredevil ever. So that'll be fun. In September, the two shows we've got lined up are the original It, and that's going to be September 14th, same week that we're reviewing the new It. And on the 28th, now here's where I do some tremendously heavy lifting, folks. This is the WrestleMania of On Trial. This was the show I put to Sean. I said, I want to do a real special show here. I want to pick the worst movie ever. And I don't remember I think it was like on Rotten Tomatoes or it was the Wikipedia list of worst movies ever. And the one that came out as the number one worst movie ever is Ballistic, X versus Severn. And I swore I could defend this movie.
Yeah, you have, for reasons I don't entirely understand, because I've never seen it, to be perfectly honest.
I've never seen it either.
Yeah, you have had a hard-on for this one for a bit. And admittedly, when you first said, I want to watch the worst movie of all time, I was going, God, don't you dare say The Room, because that's a pointless episode.
Nope. I want to see Ballistic X versus Severn to see if it's as bad as it's been made out to be. I mean, when someone says it's the worst movie ever, I'm like, challenge accepted. So
see, I've heard a lot. I've heard a lot of movies called the worst movie ever, but to be honest, I had never heard that one thrown out there until you mentioned it.
Yeah, I'll have to go back through my notes and figure out where I know I pulled it off. I believe I pulled it off a Wikipedia list, but I don't remember why or how. I'll let you know next show. But in October, we've got Blade Runner, which we'll be putting on trial the same week that we're reviewing the new Blade Runner movie, and then Sean's pick. Oh. Now this is one Sean's wanted to do all year. We saved it for Halloween. I don't know if he even remembers anymore, but I said we would save it for the month of October. Okay, here we go. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
And I will defend that one.
Okay. Now, this is all leading to something here. We've got, during the week of Thor, Ragnarok's review, and other stuff related, we have a whole series of shows revolving around Thor planned for that week on the network. Our contribution is Thor: The Dark World. I couldn't think of a better one, and Thor: The Dark World is pretty polarizing. But we actually have a question mark on the 30th. Now, I know, asking you to pick a show for November 30th is like, sitting around waiting for Haley's Comet to show up. Like, all right, I got other shit to do here. But I want to propose something.
Okay, go ahead.
You can either pick whatever you want, or we can do Temple of Doom.
Oh, that's a tough one. Because while it's the second worst of the Indiana Jones movies, I still don't think Temple of Doom is necessarily patently bad. It suffers from that nasty Kate Capshaw stain all over it.
Temple of Doom is divisive. I mean, the reason why I didn't pick Kingdom Skull, the fourth one. I mean, it's indefensible, and two, it's easy pickings. I wanted to look at something that we can really bite into and really tear apart, something that's worthy of discussion.
Well, because there were some recent ones that we could also have some fun with in terms of a weird disparity between the people who hated them and the people who loved them. I mean, because we could also do Suicide Squad. We could do Batman v Superman. We could do the new Ghostbusters movie, which I've had no interest in seeing since it was in theaters.
I just rewatched that just to see if I was hallucinating or if I really liked it. Oddly enough, I chuckled. There's a handful of times I legitimately laughed out loud.
You know what, though? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save those for later dates. I mean, because for one thing, I would think we would want to save Batman v Superman for when Justice League comes out.
You know what? That actually is when Justice League comes out. It would have come out the week before, but our show would have been on Thanksgiving, and that's not going to happen. So if you wanted to, we can do Batman v Superman or Suicide Squad. I'm a total SEO whore. Let's go with Batman v Superman. Okay, tell you what. Since we're doing that, hang on, let me get back on the right day here. We can either do. I do want to get back around to Temple of Doom, though. We should eventually do Temple of Doom. Absolutely. 2018 is another year. We can either do it on Black Friday, or we can do it the Thursday before or after Thanksgiving. I'll let you pick. So your choices are the 16th, which is the Thursday before, and Justice League comes out like that day or the day after, or the 30th, which is the week after Thanksgiving, or Black Friday.
You know what? Let's have us some fun on Black Friday.
Okay. Oh, God, my calendar's fighting me. I will write this down and fix it when I actually have a working calendar. All right, so we're going to do Batman v Superman. I got me doing it.
well, oh, fuck off. Cole Marentet got me doing it first, and he started doing it because he heard it on, I forget which podcast it was, where that was, because at the time, obviously, it was stylized Batman v Superman, and I guess on whatever podcast it was, they decided it meant Batman v Superman. And so it's what I've started calling it ever since. I'm sometimes
finally working. Right, apparently, I just need to refresh my calendar. Now we're good. All right, so Batman v Superman. On trial, this shit. On Black Friday, and then finally in the month of December, we're going to do something Star Wars. I originally picked the animated Clone War movie. I don't know if I'm going to stay with that. Me and you need to have a discussion of what we need to do for Star Wars week. I had some ideas, but I don't know if I'm sold on the animated Clone Wars movie. But the following week is Jumanji.
Should we just kind of reach an agreement between the two of us that the prequels are low-hanging fruit?
Yeah, it's either going to be one of the newer movies, or one of the original trilogy. I don't want to do any of the prequels. Like those have been done to death.
Yeah, see, I don't have anything patently negative to say about. I mean, I know what the arguments are against it, but I love The Force Awakens. I don't think there's that much wrong with it that you can point out. Has its flaws, of course, but nothing that I think anyone could build a case around. And I don't have a single solitary bad thing to say about Rogue One now that I've finally seen it.
I loved Rogue One. So that's one of those where if we decided that's what we're going to go with, one of us is going to have a real difficult time with it.
Man, that one I think is just about a Wookiee hair beneath Empire as my favorite of the entire saga.
Empire was the one I was thinking about, right? It was
You would want to put Empire Strikes Back on trial.
Yes, everyone says it's perfect. I say challenge accepted. I want to find something wrong with it.
Okay, so you're saying you would want to do Empire Strikes Back and you would want to prosecute it.
It's definitely one I'd want to put on trial. I don't remember how my list panned out as far as who was doing what, but if that's what it came down to, yeah. I ain't scared of shit.
I was gonna say I've not seen the Clone Wars movie. It's been on my Netflix list for ages, but it's one of those where every time that I'm just about to press play, I'll remember that something new came out. Either that, or I'll go right back to, I don't know, binging Arrow for the millionth time or something.
Well, we can leave it as that if that gives you a reason to watch it.
No, you know what? Now that you brought it up, I can't pull myself away from being intrigued by the notion of us trying to try The Empire Strikes Back.
And done. Empire. Should I just assume I'm prosecuting?
You know what? You wanna prosecute this one. You're up to the challenge. You know what? It's the equivalent to saying, okay, I'm going to let you work heel in this match, and I'm going to take the easy lifting and just be the face here.
All right, that means you're defending. That means you're prosecuting Jumanji, the one with Robin Williams, by the way.
I'll take that one. Yeah, I love Jumanji, but yeah, the more of these episodes that we do, the more fun I start to have with watching these new movies and coming up with arguments.
All right, so for Daredevil, what did I just do? I just prosecuted, so I just defended, so I'm prosecuting. I am prosecuting Daredevil. Prosecuting.
If not for the fact that this is so rooted in the chemistry between you and I'll tell you who actually would have been fun to have on for Thor: The Dark World, just because I know he absolutely patently hates that movie. Stuart Lang.
All right, I am defending the original It. You are prosecuting.
Okay. That's an easier.
Oh shit! Wait, then the math doesn't work out on this. How the hell did I screw this up? Because I'm supposed to be defending Ballistic X versus 7. How the hell did I screw this up? Because I initially had this perfect, and we must have missed something somewhere. Okay, I just defended the Italian Job, so I prosecuted Daredevil. Yeah, shit. I guess I'm defending 2 in a row then. Defending X versus 7. This is why I got to write this stuff down. So if I'm defending Blade Runner, then now I'm defending Ballistic, then I'm prosecuting Blade Runner.
My God, you masochistic son of a bitch! You want to prosecute one of the sacred cows of sci-fi.
Yes. Now that you've said that, I didn't know it was a sacred cow of sci-fi. I knew nothing about Blade Runner other than it's an old horror movie. But hell yes.
You thought Blade Runner was a horror movie? No. That's one of.
No, I didn't know what Blade Runner was. I just knew it was a sci-fi movie, but I'd never seen it. I still haven't. But now that I know it's a sacred cow, oh yes, I slay sacred cows.
It's regarded by some as one of Ridley Scott's opuses.
Can't wait. All right, so you're defending Halloween 3. I'm prosecuting. That ought to be a guess.
See, okay, mentioning that, let me ask you something. What did you think of Minority Report?
Never saw it.
You never saw Minority? Okay, I almost want to save that one now for Because Blank Made Me.
Okay.
Because I
right.
feel bad for you if you haven't seen that.
All right. Thor: The Dark World, I'm defending.
I'm determined to just drag you deeper into this nerdy web.
So if I'm defending Thor: The Dark World, then I'm prosecuting Batman v Superman, and you're defending it.
Bring it.
All right, I'm prosecuting Batman v Superman. Boy, is that low-hanging fruit. You're defending.
Hey, let me ask you something, buddy.
Sure.
When does the Texas Chainsaw Massacre prequel come out?
Tell you in a second. Let me finish putting these little notes in, and then I'll go look it up for you. All right. So I'm prosecuting Batman v Superman, which means nope. Math doesn't work out. I'm going to have to change it around again. I'm prosecuting The Empire Strikes Back. That's all there is to it. It doesn't matter if the math doesn't work out. And I am defending Jumanji. All right. We're fucking done with this calendar for the year. All right. And you said Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw. Let's see here. So there's supposed to be a new one coming out?
I believe there's a new one on the way. I'm not sure if it's coming out this year or the next, though.
Well, it's not coming out this year. I can tell you that much.
Okay.
2018? The Texas. Okay, according to an article in May of 2017, Leatherface. Oh, okay. Leatherface will be released this October.
Okay. Then again, you also emphatically do not want to do horror movies. So
I will do.
Yeah,
I will do what's asked of me. I'm going to see it. At this point. At this point, there's no holding back.
I was going to say the one that I was going to throw out there is I always seem to like the 2003 remake a whole lot more than most other people do. So if we should want to do a bonus episode for around Halloween, I would be down to defend the Michael Bay produced Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake.
Okay, to Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning.
No, wrong movie. That one I refuse.
No, that's produced by Michael Bay. This is produced by Michael Bay. It says. So what am I looking for?
So was the 2003 movie. Okay. All right,
hang on.
Maybe.
Yep, found it. I got it.
Yeah, the one starring Jessica Biel.
Oh goodness gracious. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I like this movie, and I will actually, if you want to do an extra one in October, I would be willing to try to defend that one.
We can talk about it, or we can save it for next Halloween. So wait, there's supposed to be another. Okay, is there supposed to be another Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie coming out? Because I can't seem to find hide or hair of it.
Well, Leatherface is the one that's coming out. Leatherface is the name of the titular chainsaw-wielding murderer.
Okay, Leatherface, 2017 film. That helps. All right. When is this thing coming out? September 21st.
Too soon. Yeah, never mind. Scratch that. We'll save the...
Okay, I don't even know if this is coming to theaters.
Okay, yeah, we'll save the... We'll save the Texas Chainsaw remake for next October.
The film will be made, just to answer your question, the film will be made exclusive via DirecTV on September 21st, 2017, before receiving a wider release on video on demand in limited theaters simultaneously in North America on October 20th. I'm going to go pass on this one.
I was going to say, oh God, I was looking at the 2003 movie's Metacritic score, 38 on Metacritic.
Yeah, so this thing isn't even getting a wide theatrical release. I'm going to go ahead and say pass.
Oh God, yeah. I did. I honestly thought that it was going to be hitting theaters.
Nope.
I didn't know it was going to be direct to video. Although, totally off topic. Have you seen? Oh God, I'm trying to remember. I almost wish Andrew Graham were here because he'd be able to remind me what the title of it is. The semi-biopic of Bruce Lee being put forth by WWE Studios. Have you seen the trailer for this?
I haven't seen the trailer, but I saw the movie poster at my local theater.
I didn't realize it was a WWE Studios production.
Yeah, that's usually a signal to say far away. All right. I was going to say, we both promised each other an hour here, so are we about ready to wrap?
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, go ahead and whatever you're working on these days, if you're going to do any plugs, just plug away.
Okay, I'm still looking for some ways to kind of get back into doing creative entertainment, blogging, podcasting, things like that. So until I come up with something else, if you have some suggestions, anything in particular you'd like to talk about, maybe you disagreed with a movie, maybe you want to talk professional wrestling and Arizona Coyotes hockey, my absurd love of Mass Effect, you want to talk gaming, anything like that, hit me up on Twitter at Comer Codex. I've actually been doing a little bit more tweeting lately, kind of dipping my toe back in to the Twitterverse. Not sure if that's for better or worse, and not sure if when I pull that toe back out, it's not going to be just a bit gangrenous. In the meantime, though, thank you all, everybody who listens live every week, everybody who downloads, everybody who loves the show and tells a friend. Thank you to Jesse Starcher for that always inspired, wonderful opening. Love the voiceover, love the Night Court theme, always makes me want to go on a classic TV binge over on Hulu+. Remember, you guys, informing you, entertaining you, you're the reason why we do all of this. We're damn sure not doing it for the money. And if you have any movies that you would like to see us put through the ringer, whether it's something you want to see us square off over on trial, or something that you want to see us inflict upon Mark on Because Blank Told Me or TV Party Tonight, let us know over on Facebook, Twitter, wherever. We're always up for suggestions. But in the meantime, remember that $20 will buy mini peanuts, and never dull your colors for someone else's canvas.
All right, so I had not a great health week this week, and I unfortunately missed Tuesday's Damn You Hollywood, but it went on without me with our main host, Mr. Robert Winfrey. He did yet another solo show. He's the man. He is my hero. I also missed the Metal Hammer of Doom. I was feeling better, but not well enough to do the show. I just wanted to go to bed. So finally, he and Robert Cooper were able to do Unleash the Archers, Apex. You know, Unleash the Archers is a badass group. Apex is an amazing album. I wish I would have been able to discuss it with them. Give the show a listen. Give the album a listen. It's fantastic stuff. I was, however, the only other show I made this week was The Coldest City on Source Material. We had a discussion about that. That's, of course, the intellectual property that Atomic Blonde was based on. Next week, we've got some Voltron shows. We've got the last Damn You Hollywood of the summer season before our wrap-up special. We've got Goat Whore on the Metal Hammer of Doom. Goat Whore, ladies and gentlemen. And as I said, on Source Material, we're going to talk Voltron from the Ashes. And then Thursday on TV Party Tonight, Robert Winfrey, Robert Cooper, and I will discuss, dropping tomorrow if you're listening to the show live, the Voltron Legendary Defender Netflix series, Season 3. I'm going to hijack the TV tomorrow and make my kids watch it with me. #parenting. All right, that's it for now. That's all we got. We already went through the on-trial schedule, the last 20 minutes of the show. So go ahead and give those a listen. As Sean said, we thank you for tuning in. Court is now in recess. All rise. Be well, be safe, and behave.
With free next-day delivery from Staples, you can run your business like a pro. You can guarantee the marketing department that they'll get their supplies tomorrow and guarantee the accounting department that they'll be delivered free. With free next-day delivery, you'll have the ability to move deadlines up and adjust budgets down. Go to Staples.com and get the office essentials you need delivered next day for free. Staples. It's pro time. Orders over $49.99 placed by 5 p.m. Excludes weekends and holidays. Eligible items only.
What if a nursing college cared for its students the same way nurses cared for their patients? What if the focus was on keeping students in, not weeding them out? What would happen? Something extraordinary. Join us, and together we can make a difference. Chamberlain University College of Nursing. Extraordinary care, extraordinary nurses.
Attend Chamberlain's Miramar Campus Open House July 19th at 4 p.m. For gainful employment information, visit chamberlain.edu/GEBSN.